Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, tinggi kesyukuran kita panjatkan kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala dan atas limpah kurnia nikmat yang tidak putus-putus kita dapat singgahlah ke hari ini. Alhamdulillah, pada tengah hari ini kita akan cuba sesi online kita yang pertama, kuliah online Family Vision, the first step to parenting success. Ini insyaAllah di bawah anjuran JK Wanita dan Kekeluargaan, Ikram dan Aiden, insyaAllah. Jadi sebelum meneruskan dengan sesi online ini, kami nak introduce lah kita punya ceramah jemputan yang tidak asing lagi kepada Ahmad, Fakhri, Hamzah dan Kak Jamilah Samian yang telah datang ke UK beberapa bulan yang lepas untuk sesi parenting Cool Mom Super Dad di Sheffield dan juga di Edinburgh dan di London. Jadi mereka untuk detail punya description, biodata yang lebih detail boleh pergi ke website coolmomsuperdad.com. Tapi insyaAllah pada tengah hari ini kami bagi yang summary version insyaAllah. Yang pertama pada Ahmad Fakhri Hamzah. He wrote lots of articles. He's actually Distinguished Toastmaster, DTM, the highest award to be bestowed Toastmaster International to a member. He is also a certified professional trainer, an accreditation he earned from the Malaysian Institute of Management. He is a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner registered with the American Board of NLP. Brother Ahmad Fakhri also a certified trainer on various diversity and inclusiveness programs covering themes that include generational differences, cultures and disabilities. His seminars include work-life balance, parenting with NLP, public speaking, fatherhood, youth leadership and communication skills. And his audiences comprise of youth and adults of varying ages. Ini Ahmad Fakhri, obviously more on the website. And about Kak Jamilah,
Jamilah Samian is a certified professional trainer, CPT, and accreditation she earned from the Malaysian Institute of Management. She is an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, registered with the ABNLP, American Board of NLP. Jamilah was part of the team of parenting experts at Parent Thoughts. Jamilah Samian is the founder of www.coolmomsuperdad.com. Jamilah Samian has presented her ideas in various parts of the world, including Durban, Melbourne, Sydney, Doha, Muscat, Kuwait, Singapore, Malaysia, and UK as well. Jamilah holds a Bachelor of Psychology from Upper Iowa University, USA, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and Mathematics from Indiana State University, and Diploma in Journalism from the London School of Journalism, UK. Jamilah began her professional journey in a multinational organization, Sarawak Shell Berhad, Butong, as a senior staff in the information technology sector. So basically, that's a bit of about Kak Jamilah. But insyaAllah, as I mentioned, boleh find out lebih lagi lah daripada website mereka, insyaAllah.
Alhamdulillah, tanpa melengahkan masa, insyaAllah kita akan jemput Brother Ahmad Fakhri dan Kak Jamilah untuk sesi online kita dan untuk sidang pendengar, saudara-saudari, ikhwah dan akhwat, brother and sister and everyone, insyaAllah. Get ready with your pen and paper to jot down any all the good points that we're going to learn, insyaAllah. And if you have any questions, please you can WhatsApp or message to our number, which is 077 0772 646060, or I repeat 0777 or 777-264-6060. Inshallah, we will relay the questions to the speakers, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, tanpa melengahkan masa, kita silakan Mak Fakhri dan Kak Jamilah, dan Alhamdulillah, jazakallahu khairan. Thank you very much for the time for tonight lah, Malaysia dah malam, to spend with us. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much. Inshallah, we can start now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'du. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings and ahlan wa sahlan. Selamat datang daripada kami di Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, we are very glad and truly excited with this first attempt to have this live streaming as well as more of a discussion following our visit to Sheffield and UK early this year. Alhamdulillah. So we wanted to take this opportunity to thank the organizers for making it happen then.
Alhamdulillah. We are really pleased to be with all of you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So the discussion that we are having today, it's about family vision, and I think we wanted this topic to be one of the overarching yang sebenarnya menjadi pembuka ataupun pintu gerbang ke arah successful parenting. So insyaAllah tonight, malam ni atau tengah hari ni, kita akan berusaha membincangkan topik ini, dan dari segi sudut perspektif teori ataupun bagaimana ia perlu difahami, dan seterusnya dari sudut praktikalnya. And kita akan share, Uncle and Auntie will share what we did for our family in this particular area then. So as far as the format of the discussion, so Uncle akan discuss about the format, which is the first, before we dive into the subject, we will talk about a bit about some of the reasoning behind all these things, of this requirement of a family vision. What is it all about? And I think the understanding of what is the case, the reason behind parents needs, of husband and wife needs to have this family vision. And we move on to a bit of the how, like the who and when and where do we do it, more as a general tips for you, more as a general tips, so that we can obviously understand what are some of the obstacles and challenges. And towards the end, Uncle will share moving from vision to the goals. What are the goals? How do we translate that into something tangible, inshallah? So the basis that Uncle wanted to mention in the preamble is using this hierarchy of successful parenting model. The model which we developed, both Auntie and Uncle, as we go through our experience, is for people to really understand that they are basic and all the way up to the level of how do you unleash the potentials of the children, and having that common goal and the end game, so that then we progress it. So just very quickly now, level 1 is about stabilizing the marriage, which is a foundation. So husband and wife acts as the builder to this marriage. This is the critical success factor for the marriage to really work out. Now, once you have that established, you move on to the next basic level, which is providing the physical needs. I think this goes without saying that many parents, husband especially, would have to provide these physical needs, or what we call subsistence parenting, the needs of having food, the need of having a home, shelter, protection, schooling. So these are some of these basic needs for the whole family to function. Now, moving to the next level, which is the connecting. This is now the parents, once children are being as a gift by the creator, then they move to fulfilling the needs of these children holistically. And what I meant is that it is not only about them connecting the spiritual, the intellectual, but it goes beyond the psychological needs, the social needs, the emotional needs. So parent must play that role to connect, and do not just let teachers or mates or whoever to have this connection. Once the children are developed, grow, then there is a need for parents to be able to develop their potentials. How do we empower the children to unleash their passion and support them? And the final and the fifth level, which is the ultimate level for all of us, is about inspiring them to achieve as leading the ummah with their expertise and their level of achievement. So I think this is very important, so that then we know why we need to ensure the understanding of this model, because this will act as a basis to how we build up the family as we grow. And I think one of the reason auntie and uncle emphasize this aspect is because people just move on to level 1, 2 and goes only at the 3 level. Once they reach 4, they are not. So that is why having this common information helps them to really understand. So what is the basis of why we are putting this model is through the Quranic in Surah Al-Furqan. And I think Surah Al-Furqan really from the dua of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So it's very important, and I want, in fact, all of you, husband and wife, to memorize this and ensure that you make it as part of your daily routine after your daily prayer for your dua. Rabbana waja'alna Rabbana hablana wa min zurriyatina. So that's the first one, which is sorry, not the zurriyati. Rabbana hablana min azwajina. So azwajina is pasangan ataupun your spouse is one of the foundation. So we talk about that just now, and by the provider. And then wa zurriyatina qurrati a'yunin waja'alna lil muttaqina imama.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Aunty nak ucapkan berbanyak-banyak terima kasih kepada semua yang sudi melapangkan masa bersama uncle dan aunty pada malam ini di Malaysia dan tengah hari di UK sekarang, ya. So I hope you will bear with us because we are having some technical issues here, but inshallah we hope that since this is our very first online session, we truly sincerely hope that this will not deter you from staying with us until this session ends, insyaAllah. Tadi Uncle ada sebut tentang betapa pentingnya sesebuah keluarga untuk mempunyai wawasan keluarga, of how important it is for a family to have a family vision. Now I wish to start by defining what family vision is. Family vision is something very important in the family to keep them together, and basically this is something very special that is being shared by the husband and the wife together in order to ensure their success not only in dunya but also in akhirah. Now let me give you an example based on my own family. I remember my late father and my late mother. Just like any other couple, they had their differences, but one thing in common that they shared was the family vision, that they want their children to be well educated. They wanted each and every child of theirs to enter university, and this really I could see through my growing up years how this actually pulled my parents together. Now the beauty of having a family vision is that it makes you, the husband and the wife, able to transcend above your differences. Sebab kita tahu antara suami dan isteri ni memang sentiasa ada perbezaan, either dari segi approach ke, dari segi pemahaman kita kadang-kadang dengan anak-anak, macam mana kita nak besarkan mereka. And not only that, banyaklah perbezaan dari segi pengalaman hidup kita yang mungkin boleh menimbulkan percanggahan pendapat. Jadi kalau kita ada impian, which is in the form of shared vision, wawasan keluarga ni, insyaAllah this is going to be the glue that really pulls you together, insyaAllah.
So, I think Auntie has given you the basis of the definition of this, which is basically an understanding between husband and wife. And from Uncle punya perspective, I have similar experience with my parents who have keep on, they may not say in words that this is our vision, but they always have that big picture in mind. So they normally would be talking about it, and that is something that they will hold onto them together. So in a nutshell, it's also something that they have common in them. Uncle wanted to introduce this concept called mental model. Mental model is mentioned in the book by Peter Senge on the 5th column. He talks about that people who are involved in any common activities would have the same mental model. And I think it is very true in Islamic punya perspective. All of us have that common mental model. Common mental model to be in Jannah. And it's repeated again and again in the Quran. So that then min tahtihal anharu khalidina fiha abada. The image of the river flowing for those people who are in Jannah is really what we call the common mental model, that it is held upon each and every Muslim as their vision. Auntie talks about acting as a glue and pulling things together. That's, again, as you go through the journey of your life together now as husband and wife, there is definitely a need for us to find that something in common, a platform together, and always in the mode of synchronizing the thoughts. And Uncle also want to emphasize that this is where, when it comes to getting things, prioritizing what you want and what you need, is an obvious consequence of having this family vision. And I think, can I do that later in my life? Can I do that sometime when the children grows big? And I think the earlier you are, the better you will be, because then you would be proactive in your own action, in the goals that you are going to articulate yang akan kita fikirkan bersama. And I think the issue is that we find this conflict between husband and wife in terms of where they want to bring the family is because they do not provide that suitable time, suitable rich discussion for both of them to share their views and then be able to influence one another. And I think that is something that we as husband and wife definitely need to work out the gains and the losses, so to speak, lah kan? Because some people they are very adamant that I must want what I want, but it could be done in a different manner. This is a journey that both are responsible towards one another and accountable towards the outcome or whatever decision that they make then. Okay, we move on. So I hope that the basis of doing this family vision is understood so that you will always try and do whatever you can in as much as trying to achieve it. When do we use it? Ideally in the early stage of marriage. Auntie and uncle did discuss this upfront even before our marriage to a certain extent. But I think the refinement is done at the early stage of the marriage so that then we are clear the end game. We are clear in the end game. More importantly is we understood the milestone that what we have to achieve as we go along then. Regular reviews, I think it's always the openness and feeling the view of the need to refine these things as we go on. But ideally, it should already have that idealistic vision of what we want to be. Whether it's going to be lil muttaqina imama, whether we are going to develop our young little khalifa, you know, whether we are going to have that future leader, that is the strength and the intensity of your desire to educate the children. One of the things that Uncle always wanted to emphasize is where do you do it, you know, where do you do it? And I think this is where husband and wife have a good excuse to take time off, you know, and this is what I call the husband and wife retreat. And I think I mentioned it in the previous, whether it's in the form of dinner, whether it is a form of away day. Retreat means you go somewhere else, only the two of you, and take that real time off to be very focused, to put clarity on your thoughts, to understand what are the potential constraints that will arise coming up from the discussion, and be very clear how do you map the journey. I think there is an important that you have the roadmap, and hopefully if Uncle can show you later when you develop the key performance indicator, inshallah. Okay, so we move on now so that then Auntie can highlight to you on this nature of the family vision. Yeah.
I think it's really important for us to have a family vision which is very noble. That means kita kata impian yang suci, long-term vision where we focus on the deen more than the dunya. And in fact, as I was discussing with Uncle earlier today, you know, I think there is a real need for us as parents to be very clear that the dunya is no more than a vehicle to reach akhirah. Dalam sebuah hadis Bukhari, the Prophet told us that always look at those above you for the deen and those below you for the dunya. And to me, this is a very important hadis. Sebab kalau kita baca dalam media sana about people not being happy with life, you know, and people always say, it's okay, if you're not happy with your life, then you should compare yourself to those who have less than you. Don't look at those who have more than you, who are doing better than you. But to me, this hadith actually clarifies, pinpoints, bila yang patut kita look down, bila yang patut kita look up. And this clearly underlines the reality that kalau kita tak happy dari segi our deen, then we should, in fact, it is an ongoing thing. It is an ongoing effort to actually become better Muslims. And one way of this is that if we have the family vision clearly specified in between husband and wife, and then we can actually see whether we are going closer to that or not. And when you try to balance dunya and akhirah, actually the word balance kind of doesn't really orang kata clarify what we are trying to do, because the word balance sometimes gives the false impression that you have to spend half of your time on dunya and half of your time on akhirah. So that's something that we need to look into. Now, apart from that, the word outstanding, the second keyword that we are showing here is outstanding. I believe that Muslims are not meant to be mediocre. And what I mean by this is that doesn't mean that we want all our children to have straight A's and we have to be, PhD, doctorates. There's not at all like that. Because to me, Allah has given us and our children, each and every one of us, something special that can enable us to contribute to humanity. So this is something very personal, very unique to the family, and it's very, very significant, very important for both the husband and the wife, for the parents to recognize, to acknowledge that just as they are very special and just as they themselves are very unique, so are their children. And number 3 is family vision has the element of balanced life to it, which we are going to talk further. In the Quran, importance of balance is actually mentioned very clearly in Surah Ar-Rahman, Surah 55, ayat 7, 8 and 9. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ أَلَّا تَطْغَوْا فِي الْمِيزَانِ وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ. And the heaven, sky, he raised and placed the balance, that you not transgress within the balance, and establish weight in justice, and do not lose the balance. Allah set a balance of justice in the sky and earth, and he commands us not to break this balance, not to lose it. Allah is telling us that there is a balance in the sky and earth, and we should look to that and not break the limits of Allah. To me, this also applies in our life, where we should always try to reach balance. And if we as a family, as husband and wife, are able to strike a balance in our life, in our family life, between work, between family, then that will empower us and make us more effective in our effort to achieve the family vision, inshallah. Now, we are going to break vision into goals. What is the difference between vision and goals? And when we talk about vision, it's not just family vision, any vision. Goals means something that is more definite.
More tangible.
More tangible, right? So we have broken up goals into 5. The family goals into 5 areas. Namely, we call them the 5 F's. The first one is faith, keimanan. Second is family, keluarga. Third is fulfillment. And fourth is fitness. And fifth is finance.
Maybe on the fulfillment, we need to clarify what does it actually mean in terms of a real life situation. So people talk about fulfillment from a career perspective, which means you want to become the surgeon, the cardiologist, you know, the engineer. So in their field, but sometimes Uncle felt that fulfillment can also go beyond, which is about life fulfillment, how people can have that desire to contribute back, because fulfillment from a career perspective is an individual personal realization of dia punya aspiration, but kalau he wants for the help of the humanity, so the fulfillment is going beyond. It could be setting up abuse center for helping out women, for instance. It could be about assisting the other golongan-golongan mustada'afin. I think this is where it soothes our conscience, but not only importantly is that we are giving back to the humanity. So, and I think the important thing is that when we want to do this balance, as what Auntie says, is that we don't just lean onto the aspects of those fulfillment area, but we are balanced on the other aspect, so that then we can really achieve a very rewarding and fulfillment life then, inshallah.
Yeah, when we look at this, the 5 F's, or rather the 5 K's if you translate them into Malay. Faith is keimanan, family is keluarga, fulfillment is kerjaya,
ataupun
kepuasan hidup, fitness is kesihatan, finance is keuangan. This is actually a simplified version, because truly speaking, faith ataupun keimanan ni is actually the top level, which doesn't deserve to be put together with the rest of the other 4 F's. But because we are unable to show it in 3D, so you know, always bear in mind that faith is in class of its own. It is the foundation of everything that we do, inshallah. Now, I'm going to talk about how do we achieve these family goals, yeah, which we derive from the family vision. Number 1, we need to have regular conversation between the husband and the wife, between the 2 spouses. And sometimes you don't actually even have to mention the word family goals or family vision. Whatever that is regularly arising, apa saja yang kita selalu sebut-sebut, whether we like it or not, that eventually will become our family vision, our family goals. Because we are habits, whatever we habitually talk about between the husband and the wife, and this is why it's so important for us to stay focused and to always think about what we actually want to achieve as a family. You know, the times when you are together, when your children are sleeping, that is the time for you to actually share your goals together, in terms of you as a husband and wife, in terms of the children, in terms of your career, for instance. And it is proven that when the husband and the wife share as little as 30 minutes together every day, inshallah, you know, just spending time together and talking about their shared dreams, inshallah, they are more likely to stay together, for their marriage to be happy, for them to thrive together in the long run. And the second one is about honest feedback. Honest feedback means, like I said earlier, husband and wife, we often have differences. There is not a husband and a wife pair that who always agree on everything. This is very normal, very natural, and we need to be open with one another, you know, and also we need to be mindful of how we give feedback. Always think, you know, if you are having difficulty with your spouse and you don't agree to what he or she is doing, sangat penting untuk kita memikirkan bagaimana caranya kita boleh menyampaikan sesuatu feedback ataupun maklum balas untuk memperbaiki keadaan itu dalam cara yang dia boleh terima. I believe that it is the nature of practically anyone to be able to receive feedback if we are smart enough to think of a way to convey, to communicate that feedback, sehingga kan dia sanggup mendengarnya. If enough effort is made to build rapport untuk mengambil hati pasangan, insyaAllah, most people will be able to accept whatever feedback, walaupun mungkin sedikit pahit ke, mungkin ada sesuatu yang negatif, mungkin cara dia berkomunikasi dengan anak ke, ataupun mungkin terlalu sibuk dengan kerja sehingga tak bagi masa yang cukup untuk pasangan dan seterusnya. And then we move on to the next one, which is flexibility. Now, what I mean by flexibility is in terms of when you can achieve your goals, you know, because and how, because sometimes although we may have some dreams, what our children are going to achieve and what we will achieve as a family, semua berlaku itu pun dengan izin Allah juga. So you might not get exactly what you want, exactly what you dream of, but maybe something even better or equal to it, because we always need to respect our children's unique capabilities and make adjustments as we go along. Yeah. And okay, next point is adjustments of tangent. What do I mean by this? Sometimes, maybe in the early part of the marriage, you have some lofty goals, some ideals that you want to achieve, and you know, we all get sucked up with our work, with this and that, with family, especially with careers, especially, yeah. And sometimes you realize one day that we might be quite far off from what we set in the early days of our marriage. Umpamanya macam, in fact, emotionally, sometimes, you know, husband and the wife might have drifted away from each other, or we discover that maybe one of the children is not really in line with what we have hoped for. Then I think it's very important for us to take time to look back and to reflect what has gone wrong and what can we do to correct that, untuk memperbetulkan whatever kesilapan ataupun kekhilafan or oversight yang kita sebagai manusia dah buat. And in dealing with these off-tangent situations, let's say you have a problematic child, mungkin lah, yeah, sometimes, and this is not unheard of. Kadang-kadang kita jumpa mak bapak yang very committed towards Islam, mak bapak dia, tapi anak-anak dia ada problem. So I think the last thing that we do, that we should do as parents, is to blame each other, because truly speaking, when you have that blame culture in a marriage, it doesn't really help you to move on. In fact, it actually takes away the energy and the resources that you have. I would rather you spend the time to think, you know, how to move on, how to help that child, for instance, how to bring him back, for instance. That would be a much smarter way to correct the situation. And that comes back to the question of sincerity. Sometimes, although we might have lofty goals, when things don't work out the way we want, we need to be at peace with ourselves despite the uncomfortable feeling that things are not working out. You know, be very sincere with our whatever we are spending in terms of time, in terms of resources, and don't think you know, in terms of being embarrassed in front of people, because at the end of the day, whatever we are doing is for the sake of pleasing Allah, inshallah. Just focus on that. And of course, very, very important is that the element of respect and openness between husband and the wife, as well as your other children, inshallah.
Yeah, I think in a nutshell, from what Uncle can feel is that there is that complementary roles that both husband and wife have to do, that this is a joint mutual effort, and it is not a one person one person taking the lead, and while the others felt that, you know, I'm just waiting. So it is certainly a mutual consultation, very cohesive, lots of ways of refining it as you go along. And Uncle punya key word here is respect. Respect that despite the shortcomings of in each individual, there is that sincerity, that strong desire to work things together. And I think it takes time to be developed. Don't get disheartened, because definitely it doesn't happen overnight. Whatever you are doing, you have to work it out together, so that inshallah the outcome will be something that both of you not only committed but would have a very strong desire to get it done. So the next one is, Uncle wanted to show this simple, Uncle call it the KPI, key performance indicator, translating what Auntie has said about the 5F tadi tu. The faith is of course number one, but the other 2, 3, 4 and 5 could be in the order of priority depending on where you are. But it's again providing the focus for you to try and fill it up. I'll give you an example shortly. There is the description on the next column after the focus area. And then what Uncle has included is the short, the mid and the long term goals that you are going to fill into this. The whole idea is that you define what is your short term. It could be in months, it could be either in terms of years, whichever that suits you better, and then you move on as you further develop this. And each of the column has its status. So Uncle used a traffic light system, which is something which is I'm very familiar in my work environment, where I deal with my staff on what is a traffic light, which means red, either it's not done or very small number of activities being done. Yellow is work in progress, but not fully complete, not even reaching to a acceptable level. And Uncle believe that at least it should be 80%, but 100% is what we want. But that's where both parties knows that this is the desire. It also forms as a roadmap. And again, this is just a sample. This is just an idea, so that then you have this in mind. I would like to mention that in some of the, if you Google some of the things about family vision, one of the key activity in family vision is a family visioning board. So vision board is also a thing that people do. When we had our course in Brunei, we asked each individual to come up with their vision board by cut and paste some of the pictures of what they dream of. So it could be the picture of the Kaaba, where they want to aspire to perform their Hajj in next 5 years. So that's the desire, to have that smart, specific, measurable, achievable and realistic or relevant target for each of the focus area. So just a quick example. This is a bit of a colorful chart. This colorful chart just denotes that some of the example that Uncle have mentioned, and different individuals or different couples would have their own vision. So like number one, the faith is, it's not good enough to say that I want to please Allah or I want to be a good Muslim. You have to be very clear on what you want. So I give you an example to strengthen your connection with the Creator. So short-term wise, which is within 1 or 2 years, you start to pray and wake up. You wake up and pray tahajjud at least during the weekends, you know, and with the desire of improving that. And then whether it's green or yellow or red, you then monitor it in the next 3 or 4 times a year on a quarterly basis if necessary. Midterm, in the next, you want to start fasting Monday and Thursday, and moving on, either you want to start reading or memorizing the Quran. So that really helps you to provide focus on what you intend to do. So you could go on in terms of getting classes, enrolling into the Islamic Open University to take your bachelor in Sharia, memorize. So there is a lot of things, but do the things which you can do now based on whatever constraint that you might face, so that then you remain, as Uncle said, focused on what you want. Again, financial. What's your financial goals, for instance? Retire by age 45, but that also means that what would it entails in terms of whether you want to do investment, whether you want to start thinking of buying a house, or whether you want to ensure you have a minimum number of savings when you retire. I do have a friend who has been very clear in his mind to retire at 45 and ensure that at 45, all the basic necessities of the house, of all his debt, all the loans and everything has been cleared, so that then he can have that financial freedom. The item 3, Uncle put that as family. So family, it could be starting with you and your parent. So what do you want to do with your parents while they are still alive? Giving them the right amount of allowance, visiting them on a more regular basis, because at the moment it is not regular. So Uncle believe what gets measured get done. When you have something that you can do and you clearly put it in your plan and you work it out together, you stand a better chance to get it done. Of course, in 12 months, you say you want to visit them monthly, but you miss 1 month, at least, you know, you have already made an attempt because you have planned it upfront in a proactive manner. Then you go to your respective child number, the eldest, the middle, the youngest, and so forth. So that then what are the areas you can see what are they good at? How do you then make them discover what passion do they have? What are they good at? And probably now you should start thinking of in our career talk about some what we call the primary and the secondary career options for them to choose, because it's good to have the fallback. So in this case, if he or she is to be developed as a doctor, for instance, yeah, we have cases of some of the brothers and our friends making them attend and carry out Hafaz al-Quran. Along the way, if academically they are good, then what are the non-academic areas that they could also discover and understand more, watching medical discovery, watching some of the good series of, I mean, I know Alia watches The House while she was taking her medical, reading books on medical matters. So these are some of the things that you begin to expose, and in the long run, you might want to have a mentor or an expert that your child can speak to, be inspired, so that then they know that this is the right choice for them. Fitness, this is very important, especially for men, because once they reach between 40 to 50, all sorts of illness will happen. So then there is that desire for them to remain fit, to ensure that they do the right amount of exercise and watch out for their diet and track their medical record then. And fulfillment, again, your choice, whether it's from your career perspective or for your personal aspiration. Maslow call it self-actualization. What is it that you want to give back? What is it that you want to do in this area of fulfillment? So finally, to just sum up the whole thing, Uncle wanted to just share the approach that we did from our family, and Uncle used this method called the this method called developing the vision and the goal. So what we did was we went away outside the house, and then we gave everybody yellow sticky notes to do what the 5 stages thinking process. One is called, the first stage is mining, where each and everyone would develop whatever their desire, whatever they want. So that's the mining process. So, and in one of them will have about 4 or 5. So one would say that I want to become a doctor, one will say that they want this, and they want a house, they want this. So we'll just sort of collate that. So that's the mining process. So the father will have a set of sticky notes, the mother would have, and if you are having enough mature children, you want to bring them, otherwise it's a husband and wife affair to develop this. Then you move on to the refining, where you look for some common areas. So in the common areas, so which means that there is commonality, that both want a house. Maybe even sometimes there's differences. The husband wants a bungalow, but the wife just wants an apartment. So even that simple, alignment that needs to be done, and open, fair discussion on providing the reason behind the choice that they're finally going to land in. So those are some of those basic refinement based on the 5 areas. Then they define what are the top 3 or top 5 for each of those areas. That's where the defining takes place after they have done that refining. And then moving on, they polish it. The way they polish it is they put that SMART target, so that then they know when are they going to achieve it and what are the resources required. In the form of shining, it's an option that you don't necessarily do it, but in a visioning technique, shining will finally crystallize in one single sentence or one single line from a vision perspective. This is done in many corporate organizations. They talk about making one mission or vision statement of what is going to be the overarching description of their vision, and which then translated in terms of their goals. And the goals is what Uncle Dan mentioned in that KPI just now. So I think we started off by describing with you in summary, the basis of this whole family vision, knowing at the end of the day that you want to make them as the future leader based on what they aspire, by you developing and connecting their potentials and their needs, their human needs then. So those are the levels of successful. Then we gave you the ayat Quran in terms of alignment and sort of ensure that it's congruent to the Islamic principles. Then Auntie talks more about in terms of the view of the balance in terms of your vision, and then translating it into goals, and then what are some of the needs to make that goals relevant to the both husband and wife, respect, flexible adjustment, and having that big picture. And finally, we move on to developing this KPI and the approach that we share in terms of how it is going to be finally being fully developed then. That's where we are.
Yeah, I just wanted to add about the 5F SMART KPI ni, which, can you go back to the slide ini? 5F SMART. Okay. What we normally see in a lot of cases is that we parents tend to focus on a few areas only, and we tend to neglect certain other areas. For instance, kalau dari segi keimanan tu memang normally kalau yang very conscious parents who are committed, they will make sure that their children receive a good Islamic education. However, there are certain areas, and notably of financial aspect. For instance, a lot of our children are actually financially illiterate. This is something that we need to look into. So much so that if we do not make sure that they know how to manage their finances when they are young, they will run into financial difficulties later on. Yeah, financial is one aspect. The other thing is fitness. Fitness is really, really important because when we do not teach our children early how important their health is, this has long-term implications and on their life satisfaction, on their productivity in the long run. We have in Malaysia, we have lots of children who are obese, and the ages are getting younger and younger. In fact, we can see a lot of them on the streets these days taking the wrong kinds of food, not exercising, having bad health habits, and this is going to impact them in the long run. So we really, really need to pay attention on that field. The third one, which is not really getting much attention from parents, is in terms of fulfillment too. What I mean is that we tend to focus on getting the basics, academics, without really exposing them to much more than what is being taught in schools. And when this happens, a lot of potential is just ignored, hidden, and not explored. And children being children, they will just follow whatever the parents say in a lot of cases, they just go to the classes where we sent them to tuition and such. And we know that, as I mentioned earlier, every human being, fits, is supposed to do something special. So sometimes, kalau anak-anak tu dah di-expose, they don't really get to achieve something significant because we force them or rather coax them into doing something that doesn't really fit into their personality and ambition.
Okay, I think that's probably wrap up what we would like to share with regards to this subject. And I think we want to leave some space and time for question and answer in case there are clarification that needs to be done. And it will be nice for us to do an exercise in a real situation, in a workshop situation, and then be able to reiterate and both husband and wife, prepare a draft version, sit together, work it out together, and then we would then sort of try to bounce some ideas and exchange thoughts in terms of challenging one another. One of the things that Uncle we did not really touch is the issue of what are the obstacles and the challenges facing if you want to do this. Is starting to get it done is probably one of the challenge, because we are all grappling with lots of our day-to-day priorities and juggling with our daily chores. So I think the first inertia that needs to be overcome is that desire wanting to do it. Block a time, set in the diary, one fine Saturday night, both of you just find a place and just sit down together and just work it out. And that's probably a simple way of just getting things done then. So we leave it to you now for the question and answer. So how do we?
Trying to discuss. Oh, these are the questions.
Okay. Well, this is the question: when to discuss with children and involve them in our vision and action plan. I think the earlier once they are able to understand some basic information, not every children has that firm conviction knowing what they want to be. For instance, at that early stage in life, when they want to be, they just pick a choice. I want to be pilot, and one day when they got sick, they want in the medic hospital, they want to be doctors and the sort of things. But again, early conversation really helps the children to discover themselves. Uncle punya personal view when it comes to our children, we let them discover what are they good at, and then we try to hone and we try to support their needs as much as possible, so that then they have that better understanding what discovery do they have then.
Yeah. Okay, the question here, can family vision change as the children grow bigger? Yes, it can. Quite likely it can. And in many cases it will. That is why I spoke about flexibility. Flexibility means you might have some idea of who you want your child or children to be when they grow up, but you need to make some adjustments as they grow older, um, as they begin to understand themselves, and by a certain age, by adolescence, in in a lot of children, when you ask them nak jadi apa, a lot of them kata they wouldn't know what to do, you know, they have no ambition and such, even by the age of 16 and 17. And it's good to remember that, especially when they are at an age, if they wish to go for college, if you plan for them to go for college, it's very important for them to take up courses that they are interested in, because we do not want them to, I mean, it would be very unfortunate if they end up having a course that they don't like. To me, the most important thing is that as long as they are able to contribute to humanity, I think that would be the greatest factor of all. It doesn't really matter which area they want to work in.
Yeah, Uncle wanted to clarify this between vision and the goals. I think to me, vision don't really change that much. You could tweak, but if you have that ultimate vision, for instance, that ke arah keluarga yang muttaqin atau keluarga insan akademik yang bertakwa, so those are the very high level vision, but it sort of do not change very much. Apart from some words that you want to include, you know, bertakwa dan beriman. But I think the goals is the one that you could change, because, yeah, during teenage year, they said they want to become a cardiologist, and then suddenly they found out there are certain things that they're not good at. They're not strong in their biology, chemistry, for instance, but they felt, oh, I discovered that I'm good in maths, for instance. So there is a shift in their desire, what they want to be. So I think that adjustment must be worked out together. And I think the understanding of there is the need to change these goals that you are having. Then the other thing is that the issue of the next question, what if the children do not want to accept or follow your vision? I think there must be a discussion of why.
Yeah, there must be a discussion of why, as well as, does that go against the deen? If it doesn't go with the deen, of course, you know, you have something that you really need to look into. But if it can fit into serving the deen, not necessarily in the way that you envisage early on, then perhaps something that you need to consider.
Yeah, I mean, we do have situation where children would say that, oh, I want to be a gamer, you know, and you need to ask the question of what is it?
What is the value that you are giving to the ummah, to humanity, by being a gamer?
So the point is, do they really understand what is that career or that ambition that they are pursuing? That's number one. And number two, what is the impact that they are going to do? Is it going to, you know, make a much more understanding of the deen for the ummah? Because I think there are so many other gamers who are non-Muslim who can do all sorts of things. So we have a role to play to contribute and give back to the Muslim world. And I think this is where the strength of our younger generation to really leverage their interest and their knowledge for the benefit of whom. I think that's the criteria that we want to put in then.
Yeah, coming back to the hierarchy of successful parenting model, which we shared with you earlier. Can you go back to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that one just before. Okay. if we were to look at this, the highest parenting function is to inspire the children to become the best that they can be, to serve Allah, to serve, you know, the deen. So actually the challenge is for us to expose them, to interact with them in a way untuk menghidupkan interest tu, minat, to become whoever we want them to be. Having said that, it's good to remember that, you know, behind our plans tu pun Allah has His plans, and sometimes despite whatever we have done, hantar tuition to create, you know, that interest, and maybe telling stories of people who are successful in that particular area, your child might not do well in that area, and you know, might not even have the slightest interest in that area. So this is something that memang kita perlu berlapang dada, because sometimes what we want may not be what is best for the child, walaupun kita rasa itu yang terbaik untuk dia. So this is something that we just have to accept and move on. What else can he do? Kalau dia tak ada interest macam inside that area, what else can he do? To me, beyond careers is actually understanding his role as a Muslim. You know, his ability to, I mean, there are parents have a tendency to narrow down the concept of developing children, you know, especially by the age of 17, 18, 19, and in their early 20s, very much revolving around careers. But to me, it is much, much more than that. It's developing their personality, to be able to be comfortable around people, their self-confidence, and how they are able to see themselves positively, because this kind of personality, the ability to be persistent, to be resilient, this kind of personality will be far more able to be successful, inshallah, in the long run. So we need to look at the big picture.
Yeah, again, in relation to that, this question about if our children do not know or not sure what they want to be, can parents help them out to achieve? I think the answer is of course, because we don't want the children to start talking to strangers and seeking feedback from them. But a word of caution, couple of words of caution. One is, number one, you don't want to short circuit the process of discovering their ability, their potential, and their passion. So how do you discover this? Is that by exposing them to that different area. If you go to the library, you could see what are the areas that they are really keen upon. What are the things that if you bring them to the museum, to the science center. So if you have already at the early stage demonstrate this, expose them into this area, then there is high likely chance for them to then, oh, this is what I enjoyed, astronomy or you know, paleontologies and that sort of things. At the early stage, lack of information, they begin to, with their curiosity built in, then you guide them. You then develop that interest. The other precaution that uncle always want is that be mindful to manage your expectation, because at some point in time, when they discover more things about themselves, they may change. From engineering, they say they switch to another. So you need to be mindful that having that conversation to understand the underlying reason. And sometimes it's just petty. Oh, because my friend changed, or because I don't have anybody, or I don't like the university. I think you and I, we as parents, you know, having understand where the compass for them to move, then we nurture them, provide them. That's what we did with, in the case of Alia, for instance, you know, exposing them in terms of reading, going to meet the right people, talking to the people who are already gone through that journey, and so that she will be able to have that understanding. I think we are okay.
Okay, the question is, here is, failure in children in various aspects can demotivate and upset them emotionally, especially in a high-achieving family. What is the best way to react on this so that they will not distance themselves or rasa rendah diri or poor self-esteem? Okay. What is really important is how the parents define success and failure. And it's really important for the children to feel that they are not being sidelined or rejected because of failure. Thirdly, it's really important for the parents to acknowledge effort more than results. Because for some children, they can do very well with minimum effort, hardly any studying, especially in the primary, and lower secondary. And for some for some children, it's like they really have to struggle a lot. And even with that struggle, they're not getting anything, anything significant. So children are different. Right? In a high achieving family, this is like it's really, and I can see where this question is coming from, because when you have more than one child, you have a few children, and there is this tendency to compare them, what they are getting, their performance, what the teacher said about them. So very important is to recognize that children are different, and it's not to compare children based on their performances. And even if they are not good yet, it doesn't mean that they cannot get better. Yeah, so it's good to discuss in the open, and not to, like some parents think that when you puji the child who is doing better in front of the child who is not doing well, then you are motivating the child who is not doing well. Actually, it backfires, because what you are doing is actually to encourage sibling rivalry. They become jealous of each other, envious of each other, which is something that we do not want. In terms of self-esteem, not really. Because if the parents know how to deal with it in a smart way, not to cause an atmosphere where the children feel like, oh, just because my big brother always does better than me, he gets more attention than me, he gets more recognition, he gets more love. So this is something that parents need to be very, very wary of. It's not because of that child not achieving that is causing the self-esteem suffering. It's how we parents respond, actually. It's how we acknowledge that, how we respond to their performances that actually will cause that.
Yeah.
So be very sensitive to what you say and do.
Our idealistic mind will always think that our first child, second, third, fourth, fifth, should be like, being cloned, and it comes out, the same. And if they are there are cases of, straight A's families from the parents all the way to the children. But Allah tests us. And there are cases where some may not be as good as one another. And that's where we have to exercise smart parenting. Comparing one another, is it going to be helpful or not? Ask that question. Be very honest to you. When I make the comparison of the elders and the youngest, or the middle to the first, will it help them to become better or feeling better? But if you're just dampening their desire, their enthusiasm to become better, because finally then everybody just confirm what he or she finally thinks. I'm not good. The teacher say I'm not good. The friends say I'm not good. And then when you start comparing dengan dia punya sibling, it makes things even more worse. And that's where they say that I'm not fit. And that is the danger now, because we need to allow space for them to grow. Believe in them. Believe that they have something to offer. That's the uniqueness. And that's the role of parents, to watch, to explore. And then they are in the desire to please us. So you don't yet compare them with others. Compare them with their own self, with their own capabilities. But do not shy away from putting that excellence for them to put in their effort.
I think equally important is for the child who is doing better than the other siblings to we don't want the child who is doing better to develop a sense of arrogance. Very important. So you can make comments. Walaupun the rest do not make comments, you can actually give a remark to keep him aware of his success dan bersyukur and not arrogant by saying that Alhamdulillah. Let's say your eldest has done very well compared to the rest. You say Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us a lot of barakah in this family, and you know, I believe that it's because we are having a loving family, and this has contributed to your success, you know. And yes, there are cases where maybe one of your children who is not doing well will say something to you and ask you how come the other child is doing much better than him or her. Then you can actually say something to the effect of, that child is doing very well because the whole family is supporting him or her. So actually the success of that child is because, I mean, you know, is partly due, yes, because of the environment, the family environment, because you support him, we the parents support him. So, and that this is actually the truth. This is actually the truth. Maknanya kejayaan seorang anak tu is because the whole family is supporting him. So rather than dia rasa, oh aku ni pandai and I succeed solely because of my effort, it's not just because of his effort. Number one, memang mungkin Allah bagi kemudahan pada, kelebihan pada dia, senang nak memahami sesuatu. And not only that, it's because of the environment in which he or she grows up in. So it's very important how they attribute their success and how the rest of the siblings attributes that success.
Okay, I think the time is already up. We are just over the couple of minutes. So Jazakallah khair. I think what we want to say is, obviously it's not a perfect of us sharing our thoughts, but Alhamdulillah, yang baik itu memang datang daripada Allah, yang buruk itu
yang kekurangan kesilapan itu dari kami sendiri.
InsyaAllah.
Kita perbaiki.
So over to you back.
Yes.
Over back to you then.
Would you like?
InsyaAllah. Over back to you then, Elina.
If you would like to make any comments.
Okay.
Okay, Alhamdulillah selesai sesi online kita kena tadi. Alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khairan. Terima kasih kepada Fakhri dan Kak Jamilah atas the sharing of family vision. Memang amat useful lah untuk kita memahami regardless at what stage our family is. I think some of us probably baru je berkahwin, mungkin belum ada anak, tapi some of us possibly sudah ada 5-6 anak kan. InsyaAllah, I'm sure regardless at what stage your family is, it's always not too late kan to start this parenting model, and with the guidance yang telah diberi tadi, insyaAllah it will be very helpful. And for sure, if you have any further questions, obviously you can always read the books. Obviously some of us dah beli lot of books kan from Kak Jamilah dengan Brother Fakhri, and obviously I'm sure they are more than happy to answer any questions, email ke kan insyaAllah, or even for those yang di Malaysia kita boleh insyaAllah. Alhamdulillah, as we are some of us quite young families, insyaAllah we always do mistakes kan. InsyaAllah with this sharing of abundance of experience and knowledge ni, insyaAllah amat useful untuk kita cuba our best kan. Like I mentioned earlier, we always have to try kan, we just try our best, make a lot of doa, insyaAllah Allah akan make sure Allah will give us the best, regardless how much effort we put. InsyaAllah at the end of the day, ini daripada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. We always try our best to be good parents, and hopefully we will create very stable and successful families, and with all the children insyaAllah. Okay, jazakumullah khairan. InsyaAllah kita akan cuba lagi bila masa. Minta maaf lah atas segala kekurangan. Mungkin ada masa teknikal, mungkin lambat dan sebagainya. InsyaAllah we try with this time difference, dan itulah, hopefully we try again next time. And itulah, tapi lastly itulah, jazakumullah khairan juga lah kepada Brother Fakhri dan Kak Jamilah atas your effort to do this tonight. So afternoon for here. So we will try again insyaAllah next time, and itulah saran ada kepada semua yang mendengar. Minta maaf lah, semoga dapat jumpa lagi di lain masa insyaAllah. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Okay, wait. Can we wait or not? Sekejap.
Boleh.
Snap foto jap.
Oh, ya ke?
Wait sekejap. I wanted to snap the. What is your photo ni?
Hang on, 1 minute.
Itu dia. Camera. We do a selfie with one another. No.
Just ambil gambar diorang. Ambil gambar.
No, it's okay. We can.
Tak nampak. Dekat sini. Just ambil gambar diorang kat situ je.
Alright.
Mirror.
Okay, wait, one more. 1, 2. Yes. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.